Welcome to Last Neanderthals podcast. My name is Khushal Yusufzai.
And my name is Wali Khan. You may not know us yet, but that doesn't really matter. All you need to know is we are the Last Neanderthals. We are dedicated to having interesting and engaging conversations with individuals who have a lot of experience and an immense amount of knowledge. We hope to learn from these people and grow as human beings. We want you to listen and grow with us too. So come along the journey and evolve with us.
In today's episode, we spoke to Rehan Allahwala. Rehan has been teaching for many years and is currently running his own school. Rehan takes a very unique approach towards his schooling system. So instead of having a normal curriculum where you learn about maths and your traditional subjects, he only focuses on online educations where students learn about AI and other online skills to be able to make money. Rehan said that his students have to be able to make $500 by the time they are in grade 8. Some of you may find this very problematic, and some of you might find his ideas in this conversation very revolutionary. You be the judge of that. We hope you find this conversation as interesting as we did. We thank you so much for listening. Have a good day.
If you want to help someone, shut up and listen. Because you can go and try to help someone with your own mind, and that's wrong. The people who are in problem, they also know the solutions for it. They just don't have the courage to make it happen.
Rehan Allahwala has brought the establishment of Rehan School into practice, where children are taught technology so that they can connect with the world, learn to make money online, and play their role in making Pakistan a developed nation.
Literally, they get offended. They're like, why aren't you teaching how to write? They go, well, when was the last time you wrote a letter with your hand? Why do you need to write? Writing is an art form, is something which people should learn. But writing as a necessity of life is no longer required. It's like riding a horse. This is an experimental school. I don't know what will happen. I know that these kids will become incredible, and but we don't know exactly what will happen.
It is an experiment,
Yeah.
and it's like an experiment with people's lives.
Yeah.
So are you ever worried about what
All the
could
time.
go wrong? And if it does go wrong, what happens to these kids if the experiment fails and they can't do anything with their lives?
Please tell us about what you do currently and what the education project you've been working on.
Sure. Thank you for hosting me on your podcast. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I watched 2 episodes. And it's very, very pleasing for me to see young adults like yourself doing podcasts, because I think that's the best way to learn, best way to make friends, best way to honor someone with their time. People in the past used to offer tea and coffee and dinners, and now I think it's the best thing you can offer is a podcast. Everybody has a drawing room. Everybody can buy these stuff. Everybody has an iPhone. They can really start podcasting, and they can preserve themselves and their friends forever for the humanity to come and learn from. And there are so many people who learn in different ways. I am a visual learner. I'm an experiential learner. So I always have learned from human beings. I never read books. So my passion always has been to study people all my life. I would find documentaries on human beings who were outstanding and amazing and lovely and who really changed the world. Edison was somebody who, I was very inspired by. And my mom, when I was 7 or 8, said, well, you can be an inventor like him. And it stuck there somewhere. So growing up, I broke all the toys I had. I just used to open them up, try to put them back together. My parents were kind enough not to scold me on that and let me do those things. Let me play around with the toys I had. And breaking things up and putting them back together was something my dad was always doing. So on every Eid and Bakra Eid and 14 August and all the holidays, he would just open up his car, or some appliance in the house was opened up, and I was asked to help him undo it and do it back together. And he's pretty good at it. I'm pretty bad at it. So I grew up in a house like that with tools everywhere in the physical space. And So I learned by doing. And a few years ago, I traveled to Singularity University. I heard about this university, which has no curriculum, which is not authorized by any institution to be a university, but it still is a university. And before that, actually, I started Rehan University. My goal was that I was always learning from the Bill Gates and Steve Jobs of the world. So this is before AI, way before AI. So I wanted to take videos of Steve Jobs, and you want to learn marketing, for example. So our editors will go out there, find on the internet content from Steve Jobs, stitch it together, and you can now have a lecture from Steve Jobs on marketing. Have a lecture on sales from Bill Gates, and literally watch them and learn from them. So that's when I started Rehan University, and this I wanted to make for my own staff initially, and then anybody else can use it. I couldn't get it because I later realized that in order to stitch it together, you have to understand it really well. The editors really don't. In Pakistan, I couldn't find the right editor who was understanding what they were saying, because it's very depth information. You have to know sales in order to have Steve Jobs say what you should say about sales. But that's something I did. I also did a phone in a school in a box thing. I got awarded on that multiple times. So I took a stupid phone, not a smartphone, and I went to different celebrities and I asked them, I went to Mr. Bean's twice, and I asked him, hey, would you help, because there's like 2 billion people who struggle with speaking English. Would you be kind enough to make content for me where A is not spoken, but A is spoken at the same time in Mr. Bean style? So you would say apple, and you're saying apple, but that apple is not, you're not saying apple. You're just forcing them to learn that, and then you would say A. So I tried going him twice. I came to London, tried to find him, went to his agent. They declined me. So I said, you know what? I'll do it myself. So I made my own comedy videos, mime-based videos. It's called Mime, where you don't speak, on the whole ABCD. And so then I went to other celebrities in the country to speak and teach Urdu and English this way. That project failed. Not many people got the downloads. There was no internet on the smartphones at that time. There was no smartphones. People were unable to get the content on the phone. It didn't really fly. So the latest thing, then I went to the Singularity University and I saw that they charge $35,000 for 3 months, and they teach how to impact 10 million people. They take the world's real problems, and then they teach you how to solve them. And who are the right connections, who can guide you, what's the right information, and then they teach you how to do it. And then my own kids were growing up, and I was like, I need a school where they don't waste my children's time. I read this book called Lynchpin, and it is by Seth Godin, who is one of the best marketeers on the planet. And he explained that you should become a linchpin. You can never be fired. You will become the problem solver, and you can solve any problem you want. So I wanted to take the time of my kids 2 to 4 hours a day, because that's the time where you don't have a wife, a girlfriend, or kids, or house rent to pay. You don't have the worries of life, but you have time on your hands. So there's a research by a professor called Professor Sugata Mitra. He's a professor of education technology in Newcastle upon Tyne, and he did an experiment in India called Hole in the Wall, and he just placed computers in a slum, and 6 months later, people were just emailing him, and nobody was teaching them. And they just left the computers there, and he did this experiment, and I was very inspired by this experiment, and it's kind of who I was. I was learning by doing, and these kids learn how to use computers by doing, not by somebody teaching them. And he devised this method called the grandma method. So he's like, you ask a question, oh, how do we do this? And then you just say, shabash, shabash, good job on the shoulder, and encourage the kids to learn more and learn more. So that was this fundamental learning that I found online. Then I met him. He and Ken Robinson were the two teachers. I was totally on that these are the people who are really understanding education. This is how it should be. And I'm very grateful for these two amazing human beings to have the voice to say that it is okay to have a different way. So I wanted to make this new institution 6-7 years ago where the kids would not just learn schooling, but also learn world problem, how to solve the world problems. And over the years, because I was doing different businesses, I found that having the right network is extremely important. You have to make that network happen. You have to learn how to be inside the network, because that's where the right information is, the right connections are, right money, right solutions. Everything is the network. And then how to use internet and technology and gather that network and your information to solve your problem. As a startup, whenever you do a startup, you learn a bit here, a bit here, a bit here, because it's a startup because nobody's ever done it. It's a problem to solve. So I wanted to have a school like this where the kids would learn 2 to 4 hours a day, computers, and we would give them a problem and we call them a Wala. So you will solve the water problem, you will solve the energy problem, you will solve the forest problem, you will solve the climate problem, and we'll make them into groups. So Gautam Mitra said that you should take 3 kids on the same issue and then let them play together, collaborate. So you learn to collaborate. So I tried to hire a teacher 6-7 years ago and I failed. But eventually I made a post on Facebook and somebody sold me a school within my budget in Karachi. So I bought that school without ever looking at it. And when I went back and saw the school, it was in a slum area. It was a fantastic looking building, beautiful, huge, giant, everything. But it just, on the Google Maps, it showed 10-15 minutes away from civilized world, but that 15 minutes is kind of hard. So it goes into a slum. But I ended up with this. So initially the school was designed for problem solving, but then there was another problem, which was in that area, which was money. They didn't have the money to pay, and the families were earning less than $100 a month. So I added one more problem to solve in the school, that now we will teach the kids how to make $500 a month. Beside solving the world problem, we will also help them solve their own problem, because the problem is solved. They don't know how to make $500 a month. That's why they're not earning. So let's teach them how to do it. So we started this school. And then I found that there are 22 million Pakistani boys and girls who don't go to any school because they don't have the money. Then there are 105,000 Pakistani private schools who charge around $2 a month to educate them. Now, if you're getting $2 a month to teach someone, what kind of salary are you going to give to the teachers? What kind of salaries are you going to give to the principals? Nothing. You don't have the money you have 200 school students that you make $400 a month. In $400 a month, how much can you give in salaries? So salaries in Pakistan for teachers is $15 a month for a teacher. What kind of brain power does that teacher have to teach the others?
And motivation as well.
Yeah. So I wanted to just redo the system. So I thought, you know what? We'll make a school. We'll have the child earn 100,000 rupees. And when they hit that 100,000 mark, we will split it with them. We will take 50%. They can have the 50%. Until that, no fees.
That's incredible.
So, but if we are able, and when we are able to do this, now millions of kids who don't go to school, the investor can come in and actually make a school, because now they're earning from these kids. They're not just learning, they're actually earners. And the other $2 schools can change the model, just like they go for Montessori or an IB or an O-level school. They can go for a Rehan model, which is you earn and you learn. So your school is till 1 p.m. You can have another school shift till 4 p.m., 3 hours extra, and you start earning. And just by working 3 hours a day, you should be easily able to make $500 a month. That gives you the right skills: coding, graphic designing, podcast editing, video editing, all those right skills, which I wish somebody taught me when I was in school. So in our school, we teach four things. One, in the and it's an experimental school, so it's an online, it's an ongoing journey for us also. It's just a 1.5 years old, 1 year in the real sense of really happening anything, because the kids did not have computers and the internet. The principal used to cut off the internet because he was thinking, I'm spoiling the kids, because kids are not supposed to use AI or computers or mobile phone in a school. School doesn't have to teach how to use Facebook. Facebook is evil. You shouldn't use Facebook and TikTok and all those things. So I had to struggle with my own team because they were having a conflict at this. Slowly but surely it happened, and now my team is really amazing. They have given up on their ideologies and now adopted to my work. And every child is given a wala, which means that for the next 10 to 20 years, you're going to spend and become a specialized in that particular problem. So you're going to solve the solar problem of the country. So you become a solar wala, or like a solar smith, like goldsmith, jacksmith, So,
and how do you decide which kid solves which problem?
We have a list of 100 problems, and we tell them choose any of them.
They choose them themselves.
You choose, and if you don't know, we'll just give it to you based on your aptitude. But your kids, we're just teaching a methodology.
Yeah.
So we started with 7th grade. Now we have 5th grade and 6th grade. And in the 5th grade, we now teach ethics and socializing, and we watch only. So this is, how do we learn? How do you teach a 12-year-old how to solve a solar problem? Duh, like how? So imagine you start a startup and that is supposed to solve the solar problem. How would you learn? So the kids learn the same way. So we go on TED Talks and we pick a TEDx, which is about that problem. So for example, the kid's going to watch solar TED Talk only. And then after watching, he or she is going to make his own video, explaining what he understood or she understood, and then posting it back on LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere, and then tagging the original speaker saying, hi, Khushal, I saw your TED Talk and I learned about podcasting from you, and this is what I learned. Thank you for your feedback on my video. And by the way, if you would give me 30 minutes, I would like to interview you. Now, this is a 11, 10, 12-year-old child messaging you and making his own sweet little voice video about your TED Talk. How many people would do that? Nobody does it right now. So it kind of induces you to reply to this child saying, oh, that's so cute. I want to give him 30 minutes. And the next day, the same thing. The next day, the same thing. So 250 times a year, the child has to watch a solar TED Talk. Or if he doesn't find the TED Talk, a documentary or something else, and then reach out to the person and then try to interview them. That's class 1. That's, one of the subjects. Second, you have to interview anyone. Just randomly, you have to pick a human being who you don't know yet, and you interview them. Half an hour. Third, you have to use AI to make a small, faceless, 1-minute video using Canva, AI, text to speech, and learn video editing about your Wala again. Right? So you are going to AI and saying, how do I do this? So it'll say, da-da-da. Okay, now write a script for a video. Da-da-da-da-da. So now they're going to make a video in their own language and English and posting it again on all their social networks. So they're becoming I call it like a future Malala, a future Greta Thunberg, a person of influence of that subject, because no child is doing that. And the third thing, they have to learn yoga, meditation, so their body is in shape, their mind is in shape. And then the earning part. So for the first year, we don't expect them to earn. In the 5th grade, we don't expect them to earn anything. But in the 6th grade, we expect them to earn at least $100 a month by doing different jobs on Fiverr or Upwork or directly, like making business cards and small little graphics or thumbnails, whatever. Because they have access to Midjourney, they have access to ChatGPT-4. They're designed using this every day, and that's our school. So we hope that when they reach class 7, they are earning $300 a month, When they reach class 8, they have to make $500 a month. And then at 8th grade, once they reach $500, we help them start a startup, which we want them to be able to, again, in their Wala, because they're already expert, they already know people in their space, they can do multi-million-dollar business, and then we want them to sell that business at least $1 million when they reach 13th or 12th grade.
So what if they're struggling to reach the goals? What if they get to 7th grade, they can't make $100 a month?
The reason they can't do it is why? Because you have, for example, 100 years ago, people thought not everybody can write. Oh, no, this is not for brown people. This is not for black people. They can never learn to read. But time told us that everybody can read and write. And eventually it changed. The reason people cannot make certain amount of money is the belief system. The biggest challenge which I'm fighting is the belief system. The teachers don't believe it. The parents don't believe it. The child doesn't believe it. So how is it going to happen? Because you don't even believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, then how? So in our school, the whole school is full of 500 different quotations. It's full of photos of human beings who you're supposed to be friends with. For example, we can put in Khushal's photo if he comes on Facebook, that they will come and take a photo with Khushal, and then they will message you and post it on their Facebook. Say, hi Khushal, lovely to meet you through our school. Can we talk sometime? So we're trying to engage them with human beings who are different than them, who have a different mindset than them. And these people are alive now. So I told you about my 500 mutual friends experiment. So I have friends from all over the planet, and I have their photos in the school.
Yeah.
And these kids can actually go and, take selfies with these photos and then message them. Hi, we're a student at Rehan School. Can we be your friends? And then they give them a little bit priority. Some of these kids have interviewed one of the women who is a Harvard grad, space investor. She flew to Pakistan because 10 of our students interview her. Wow. And she was like, I don't believe that there are 10, 12-year-old children who interviewed me. What is this space? Then I interviewed her and I asked her, and she said, this is incredible because now they're reaching out to people who above their pay grade. They don't have the fear of reaching out to people who are 2, 3, 4 steps above their pay grade, And
I think what Wali was trying to say is that, how some students are late bloomers, right? It takes time.
Yeah, so we have kids who are 10, 12, same age, but not in a different group.
So I think what he was trying to say is is there a support system, that, let's say they go to year 8 or something like that, and they, let's say they have self-belief system, all of these things, but they're not making the money, or let's say they don't have it. How do you guys then go about helping them install that self-belief and and not make them feel pressure of earning money?
Well, it's like the pressure of getting good numbers in school. It's like if you don't get, if some parents put pressure, then you have to get 100 out of 100 in your maths paper. That's kind of the same pressure which we are putting on the money side. If they're not able to do it, they can come back and ask, I'm not able to do it, what should I do? So you learn again. And in our school, we don't have any teachers. We call them facilitators. Your job is, as I was explaining Mr. Sugata Mitra's, that you have to do a good job and give them questions like Socrates. You say, well, let's sit together and find out what the answer is. So they're supposed to sit with the student and Google with them or ChatGPT with them and let the kid do their own searching.
That's beautiful.
And so that they can find, even if they have the answer, a good father or a good teacher should never give the answer. They should give the riddle. Here it is. Let's find it together. So we explore how to do it together. And that's what happens in life. You go to your friend and the friend doesn't know what the answer is, but they give you support. And then you find the answer together.
Now that's great, because I feel that's what's lacking in the traditional schooling system, where it's what I remember when I was studying in Pakistan is you would be scared to question the teacher, and what the teacher said was the covenant, right? Is this and that's all there is, and you would be afraid. So I'm glad there is that collaborative relationship between the teacher and the students. to help them figure out what they're going through and think about problems differently and figure it out themselves. Because like another, like even here, like let's say you spoon-fed information until A levels, right? And then you have university. Most students, when they go to university, you have to be independent, and they can't thrive in that environment because their whole life they've been just told what to do.
Right.
So I'm glad, like, you guys, that's a big issue that you guys are covering in this education system. So yeah, I'm very happy to hear, like, this very refreshing, like sometimes like we said in your podcast, what we did with you is like all we hear is like the problems, what's going wrong in our country. But like I wish there was like a platform, maybe this is a problem we want to solve, is how do we get these incredible stories and these people who are doing incredible things like you more awareness, that people do have like, okay, you know what, there is progress being made in Pakistan and we should keep our hopes high and invest. How do you think we can go about doing that?
Well, before I answer that, one of the things which is encouraged every day to the children is to say no to the teacher. In the past, saying no was considered being disrespectful to someone, right? So in our culture or in the world, one of the biggest things, yes sir.
Yeah.
And you never do it because you didn't really either understand it or you didn't want to do it, but you just said it because you know he's older than you. So we encourage the child to say no to the teacher, but you have to be respectful. So you have to learn how to say no with respect, so that you have the courage and believe in yourself that no, I'm not going to do this today, and the teacher cannot force me, because we're required to say no to one of the requests which the teacher is making. Having more awareness. So I came to London last week for the world's largest tech show on education. It's called the BET show. And I met some interesting people, and they told me about the London Free School, which I'm hoping to go and see, where they allow people to do experiments with education. And then I am meeting an investor to maybe open the school in London in physical space. And also, so I got some students to study in our school in Pakistan online. Because online, internet, when people ask me, where do you live? I live on Facebook. So I have video which explains that you should migrate. All of us should migrate to the internet, because on the internet, we're all equal. All of a sudden, Barack Obama and Rehan Allahwala have the same powers on Facebook. In physical space, Barack Obama has different powers and Rehan has different powers. But on Facebook, he cannot do something extra and I cannot do something less. So we have equality, equal opportunity on social media to be, it's now up to us. If we work hard enough, we have equal opportunity there. So to encourage us, I would love some more of your viewers to come and enroll as mentors in our school, as students, enroll their children in our school, because this school is for real life. It's to show you how to use your computer better, how to use your AI better, how to use your mind better, how to use your body better, how to use your soul better. And that's what schools are supposed to do, I think. You're supposed to make the best of your life. Everybody's struggling for that. So it's an experimental school, because we're changing a lot of things very rapidly in this. And to scale, I don't know how it will look like in 5 years' time. I think AI is going to be the number one teacher in the world eventually. But you will need human interaction and human facilitation in order to learn, I think.
I think the problem solving aspect. Let me start again. I don't know why that always happens to me.
That's okay.
I think the problem solving aspect is really important and is really fascinating as well, because this is one thing we've spoke about a lot on our platform, how education, not just in Pakistan but worldwide, is so geared on producing employees, almost like a factory. You just churn them out. But Another thing that is quite interesting is, so you don't have any maths or anything. It's just this problem solving. That's so fascinating. So do you think this could be almost globalized, this type of curriculum? Because then where do the doctors come from? Where do the engineers? Or do you think you can get doctors through this method as well?
So I have only 50 students, right?
Yeah.
There are 2.5 billion people who are underage who are studying. So I'm not saying this is the only way. It's an experimental school. And I don't think everybody can become a Malala or become a Greta Thunberg. It's not designed for everyone right now. It's designed for high desired, high achieving human beings who want to become first, who want to become phenomenal, who want to really make an impact. And by doing this, we will be able to create templates of processes which can then be replicated in other schools and other systems. And I forgot the question.
It was.
Can this system be globalized?
Yes, it's already globalized. I already have students from everywhere online in our online version of this academy. And we are going to keep on modifying it. One of the key things which I made sure it happens in our system is that, you know, when you get a cup of coffee, in certain places they mix it up for you. But in certain places, in a tea cafe or a nice coffee shop, they would give you the milk, the sugar, and the coffee or the tea separately. And you have a choice how much you want to mix in it. The education system doesn't give you any choice, much choice at least in the secondary space at the moment. I have made sure that the 25% of the curriculum of whoever copies our system has to be their own, because the 100 problems we took to give to our students are from Pakistan, are from Karachi. They might be different in Swat, they might be different in London, they might be different in Birmingham, but they might be different in New York. They're all different. And so as we evolve, I think technologies are evolving, technologies are changing. English, for example. So we recently included Annie as our teacher in our school. And Annie is this app where she talks to you and answers anything. So now, as part of the curriculum, I forgot to tell you, it's 25 minutes a day they have to talk to Annie. And it's live and they can watch it and they inspire other students to do. So they ask Annie about their Wala problem for 25 minutes a day. And you can speak Urdu, Pashtun, any language, and it speaks back in English.
Oh, wow,
So
really?
Even Pashto.
Even Pashto.
Can I
And
try it if you don't mind?
yeah, you want? I want you to connect to Wi-Fi
Pashto.
first.
That
That's
is
crazy.
crazy. If he speaks Pashto,
It
this
ca-
is
It speaks any language you want. First, you want to go on Wi-Fi, and this app alone,
Oh, I don't have my phone, so I can't.
QABTY.
this app alone is changing the way we speak.
Mm.
When you hear my English, it's more American accent.
Yeah.
And the reason is because when I was in the 8th grade, I bought my first company and, and
Great.
I was learning how to fix computers. And my teacher told me how you have to take this soldering iron and this sucker, and then you have to take out the ICs. And I was doing this 3 hours a day. While I was doing this for 3 hours a day, in the background there was CNN. And I was just hearing CNN because that was the only channel available in Pakistan at that time on television. So just by hearing, I learned my English. The reason I'm speaking the way I'm speaking is because I watched a lot of CNN. Every time somebody asks me, how is your English so good? Well, my teacher is CNN because I was watching that so much that I learned it this way. So I think this Annie app
I
will.
wish we had Wi-Fi. I can't find the code for here.
Okay, we can do it
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
And this is compulsory now in my school. And if I had $1 billion to spare, I would spend $1 billion to market this app in Pakistan because it will change the language of the people because they now can understand English while speaking Pashtun. And it has it has ChatGPT in the background. You can ask your business problem, your muscle problem, your disease problem, your doctor problem, your engineering problem, your poetic problem, your cooking problem, anything you can think of. It has the answer to it. It's like an all-knowing genie in your hand.
That is genuinely really fascinating.
Yeah, I need
I
to
would
try
love
this.
to try that later
And
because
for 25 minutes a day, if the child is friends with this girl,
Mm.
they will eventually ask about anything at home. And they will start growing and evolving, not listening to their friends, but with the most authentic information available to humankind. And then all of a sudden they're becoming equal. Because now Barack Obama and Rehan are getting the same information from the same source with all the same references. You can be a Jew, a Muslim, a Christian, or an atheist. You get the same information, not the biased information. And that's how humanity is going to evolve, I think. And this is something which, again, they have to do every day in our school. Required. That's an assignment. Imagine what I think in 6 months' time, I will not have any English problem in my school for sure. Because the kids would be speaking like her. Because they're talking to her for 25 minutes, hearing her over and over and over. But again, this is an experimental thing right now. We just started doing this a month ago in our school, and I'm already seeing progress. And in 6 months' time, I hope you will call me back in a year's time and hear the progress of the school, because it's progress. It's one of my only wishes is that I started this school 25 years ago, because this is so fascinating. Because I have trained thousands of people in my life as employees or friends, but they run away before I teach them everything. But these kids, I want to keep them at least for 6 to 8 years with me, because it's a disciplined learning system where I can download all my brain in them, and I can give them all the information, and they kind of have to do it. You know, your own kids don't listen to you as much, but the school kids have to, because it's part of the curriculum.
It's almost like you're assembling the Avengers in all
I
different
feel
types
like
of
it sometimes,
fields.
because if you talk to my kids, I would strongly encourage you to interview my kids, at least the 4 or 5 top students. They are fascinating. They know about stuff. Like my 16-year-older is fascinating, because you can ask, it's like a Wikipedia. He's like sitting on YouTube all day long and learning about weird stuff, which, about mushrooms, how they grow and how it works and how is the biology of it. I'm like, where did this come from? And he knows it. Wow. And same thing is now happening with these kids. And eventually they're going to start questioning, because we're going to give them bigger and bigger questions, because I'm making them interact with who's who of the planet. And that interviewing, that conversation ignites stuff in you. And that makes you desire bigger things and bigger ambitions, bigger goals. And they're like, I want to become this guy. Why can't I do this?
That's what I also love about this, your strategies. Like, it's commonly said that you're the average of 5 people you surround yourself with. And, you're making them listen to TED Talks,
Every day.
so you're making them make friends, online friends.
Unfriend all Pakistanis.
Some
Pakistani
of my best friends are like Lex Friedman, Huberman, like these guys that I haven't met, but they're like my online friends that I just listen to, which is even better than just speaking to them sometimes, And what I was I forgot my thought. I think another great thing that comes with this, it can actually dismantle racism. Because you're humanizing people from other culture, like the Islamic extremists. They have looked at like the Westerns, like the kuffars and all of these terms they use, right? That they're kafir. But through this, by literally making them learn about other cultures through this online education you do, you're literally like ending discrimination in them that might exist from like being in a bubble.
So one of the biggest problem of Pakistan, they say, is Kashmir. And one of the biggest problem of humankind is Palestine and Israel. Can you name me 2 human beings alive who are working to solve this problem peacefully?
One of them is dead. Yasser Arafat.
Alive.
Yeah.
Well, he was also initially...
He was biased. He was Palestinian side, right? He was not trying to resolve...
Wasn't he working
initially
with that?
It wasn't peaceful.
But later on, wasn't he like given also a Nobel Prize? He was
Yeah,
working
for
with
the Oslo Accords, but it's
So
It's not.
well,
it's
let's
not
I
say-
don't know the
let's say
history,
we
but-
don't know, right?
I assume there are people working on it, but it depends on how successfully they're
But
working.
when I say this is
Motaz,
school,
that guy, the journalist, is doing a lot of good work.
Motaz Azaiza, he's a journalist.
He's a journalist, but yeah,
Palestinian.
but when I
awareness, you could say, also bringing awareness to the suffering,
but
in
when
a
we
way.
say Greta Thunberg, what comes to our mind?
climate change.
There you go. But there's no human being that we can associate with problem solving of Kashmir. There's no human being we can say he's working on. Like I'm saying, we have Solar Wala. So now we have Kashmir Walas, 3 kids,
Mm-hmm.
and 3 kids, Palestine Walas.
Mm.
And we have a room, a classroom, which I'm trying to find video of, which looks like the United Nations Assembly Hall.
Wow.
And the kids are in that classroom, and their job is to find an Israeli every day and talk to them for half an hour, and a Palestinian. So every
That's
day
incredible.
you have to talk to one Israeli and one Palestinian and find them and talk to them. And that way you're seeing both critical thinking, right? Both sides of the data is coming to you. You can ask. Normally we don't sit in the same room. We don't want to sit in the same room.
Yeah.
And I know the gentleman who brought peace between Ireland and the UK. His name is Lord Rana. He's not very well known in that because he wanted it to be hush hush. He lives in the northern city of Ireland. What's that called? Liverpool? No, the other side of the Liverpool.
Dublin, Belfast, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not
Dublin.
too sure.
And no, not Dublin, but the northern side. Anyway, so he told me how he solved this problem. He used to have dinners at his home from both parties, and nobody was supposed to know about them. It was hush hush. So the reason I made the Institute of Peace.org is because I was helping him find a domain name. He wanted to make a Lord Rana Institute of Peace. He wanted to scale that problem solving skill, which he had by bringing people dinner on both sides. Just talk, just hang out. Don't talk about the subject even. Talk about nothing. Build the trust. Once you have the trust, you can talk about deeper problems.
Yeah, once you humanize the other person,
Once-
that is such a great way of going about this.
So now, these are the 2 biggest problems I think, at least for Pakistanis, is Kashmir, because that's what creates problem between India and Pakistan. And then, there would be millions of people on the streets of UK, streets of Pakistan, for Palestine, but none of those English people have actually ever talked with a Palestinian. Right? There's a very nice TED talk by Mr. Ernesto. You can talk. If you want to help someone, shut up and listen. Because you can go and try to help someone with your own mind, and that's wrong. The people who are in problem, they also know the solutions for it. They just don't have the courage to make it happen. And that's where things happen. Eventually, all wars, no matter how much you bomb them, they sit on the table and you sign an agreement that we agree to this. You agree to
Exactly.
a term. And you know how much humanity spends in 1 year on arms? Wild guess.
I think just humanity in total,
Yeah.
I would say 2 trillion.
Yes. And $80 billion can end all food crisis on the planet.
Wow.
So we spend $2,000 billion a year on trying to protect our ideology with the other guy.
Yeah.
That's all. I mean, what's an army for? This is my ideology. This is your ideology. You keep it to yourself. I'll keep it to myself. And we don't have something going for having those conversations, the difficult conversations with people who we think are our enemy. Before the internet, all this was hush hush, impossible, very difficult, like the Ireland guy. But now, without going to Israel, kids sitting in Pakistan are interviewing Israelis. I started this 12 years ago. I have a show called Meet an Israeli. And you can actually, because most Pakistanis never meet a Jew person in their life. So I tried to find them and talk to them. Most Pakistanis have never met an Indian. If you live in the UK, you meet Indians. If you live in Dubai, you meet Indians. But in Pakistan, they're all of a sudden your enemy because the government says so. But now you can use WhatsApp, you can use Facebook Live, you can interview, you can use Zoom and have a conversation from the other side. Fall in love. Without having a conversation, you can't fall in love. That can be arranged marriage. Maybe it'll fall in love, maybe it doesn't. But so this school is a collection of all my life's learning, and I'm literally implementing it in the school so that whatever I've learned, whatever my mistakes are, they don't do it, and whatever I have learned that it works, I make it happen for them.
And I wanted to ask about the collaborative effort between the students, because if you're producing these individuals who are so capable in so many different fields, it would seem that a good strategy would be to make sure they all continue to collaborate with each other in school and post school as well. So is that something that the school does as well?
So each wala is made in three. There has to be three walas of the same thing for that exact reason. So they collaborate with each other. They exchange notes with each other. They have the same destination. They're all going in the same place. They're not alone. One of the other things which I last year realized that these kids will be very lonely. These kids will be so. I think you can maybe relate in your house.
I know exactly what you're trying to say. Even like for example, from school, when you go on like this self-improvement journey, listen to TED Talks, books, go in gym, doing martial arts, all of these things, a lot of people look at you as a weirdo.
Yeah, because most people don't want to put in all the work to make yourself phenomenal. Your parents did a lot of work to make you into the way you are. That's why you are high achievers. That's why you want to hang out with high achievers. It's a certain mindset, I think. And I think one of the things which will happen with my children and my students at school would be the same, that they will become high achievers and they will be kind of cut off from the society. And we will not want this to happen. But one of the guys who work with us said, well, sir, they will at least have each other. And they will have their own, family of school, which is all high achiever family. And I hope one of the things which I loved, Sal Khan, the Khan Academy guy, somebody asked him, how would the AI impact humanity? He said, well, one of the things is that majority of the humanity, because of AI, has a chance to reach their full potential. And, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you have this top part where you have your own, you find yourself.
Yeah, self-actualization.
Self-actualize. So AI allows us to self-actualize now, because now we have all the knowledge which was required to slowly progress towards self-actualization. Information is at least in our hand. And now with AI, it's even more crystallized form and instant. And it you don't have to go and research anymore, even on Google. It just gives you both sides of the picture. And that is what I am hoping for, because that's something which can stop humanity from spending these $2 trillion a year on arms. Because now we have young adults like you who are talking about it, thinking about it. They have this power in their hands and they can actually go and solve it.
And also, you said it is an experiment. The whole thing is an experiment.
Well, the reason I'm saying it experiment, because a lot of things in which I'm doing will be wrong, right? I will fail in many, many things. I'm doing things which have not been done before in a school environment.
How do I show this to?
You can take the video and then put it in there. So we are watching a video right now on. You can increase the voice. This is the Peacemakers.
Right? Let's not increase. Is this from you?
This is our school.
Oh, but the music is.
Yeah, music is open source.
Open source.
Yeah, but it would be better to mute the music, because then we can add the video on top later.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that otherwise it will sound.
So this is a Peacemakers room. So the
That
students,
is-
Wow.
and it's gorgeous.
I need to inshallah, when I come Pakistan, I need to visit your school.
Yeah, once you go inside, you feel like, oh my God, I'm in United Nations.
Yeah.
Wow.
You take
I
photos.
haven't even seen this in the UK.
It's nowhere in the world. So our principal's office is like a spaceship.
Really?
So you go inside and you're like, what? This is this place. And have you seen those gravity rooms, like gravity-less rooms?
Yeah.
Where you're like, you can hold one and take a photo. You feel like you're in a space shuttle.
That's amazing. That is very impressive.
Yeah. So and then we have a room for future navigators. A friend of mine calls himself Captain Future. He lives in Sweden. He's Swedish, and I said, well, why don't you? He has accumulated information for the last 16 years, nothing else. Read, podcast.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, you need to transfer this information to some students. I'll give you my students. So we made a room in our school, which is a future navigators room. So it's designed for the future navigators who will take us to the future.
Wow.
And he's supposed to teach these kids online from Sweden. And something happened between Sweden and the Islamic burning of Quran thing. So he kind of backed off. And otherwise I was supposed to fly him every month to Pakistan for a week, so he can stay there for a week and then kind of just talk to the kids and spend time with them.
Wow.
We have 2 apartments in the school, like nice rooms, so people can come and stay. One of the women, Carla Reachman from Washington DC, she's a retired school teacher. She moved to Pakistan for our school. She lived in our school for 3 months, and now she's living in Bahria town in Karachi. She liked it so much, she just moved to Pakistan. Reverse migration.
That is incredible. That's very rare.
And I told you about the other woman. Her name is Alison. She flew to Pakistan to meet the kids who interviewed her. Then she flew back, and now she's buying a house in Lahore.
Wow.
Again, a reverse migration case through the kids.
That's amazing. But this is very, very fascinating, like especially in the
Even for me.
Yeah, in the long term it's going to be so interesting to see what happens. But as I said, and as you said, it is an experiment.
Yeah.
And it's like an experiment with people's lives.
Yeah.
So are you ever worried about what
All the time.
could go wrong? And if it does go wrong, what happens to these kids if the experiment fails and they can't do anything with their lives?
Well, it's like being a father, and I'm a father of many. So you're always worried about your kids. What if she married this person, or she studies this? What happens? Or this happens, right? So there's so many what if in life. So this was my huge concern, that I'm experimenting with these kids. So I talked with the parents. I brought them in. I said, look, this is an experimental school. I don't know what will happen. I know that these kids will become incredible, and but we don't know exactly what will happen. So I said, you know what? We're fine with it. We have seen you for a long, long time on the internet. We have seen what you've done with your own children. As long as they become like your own children, we're fine. And that was very encouraging for me, and that gave me hope. One of the women who said that migrated from a small village in Faisalabad to Karachi. She has never traveled in her life. Her husband lives in Saudi Arabia. She migrated she lives next to the school street. And she brought her 4 children, and 2 of her children are top performers in the school now. And I asked her, she said, I don't want my life to suffer. I said, can you explain that? And she said, when I was growing up, they forced me to go to school. Then they forced me to go to college. Then they forced me to have babies. And then when I had 4 babies, I asked my parents, they said, do what you want. What kind of life is this? I don't want my children to suffer like this again. So do whatever you want. I don't care. I'm with you. I'll support you. You're doing fine. Don't worry about it. That was very encouraging. I cried that day. I was like, this is really amazing.
Yeah.
And then there's another woman who's constantly arguing and convincing her husband, because her husband wants to marry her daughter off at 16. And she's the best performer in our school. I literally sometimes think I made the school for her, because she does everything we tell her. And she became a speaker at a university 2 months ago. We sent 10 of our students to Lahore last week to a future festival where they were meeting all the speakers. It was the largest conference in Pakistan, tech conference, and now they're saying it might be the biggest in the planet. It was 300,000 people came to see it.
Wow.
In terms of numbers. So the kids went there. They were incredible. Everybody was so happy and meeting them. And then I have a testimonial from another guy came in yesterday. He has been in education space for 20 years. He has 32 schools. And he said, I have never seen kids like this. And what you have done in 1 year is incredible. It's unbelievable. And even for me and everyone, it's just unbelievable. Now comes to what happens to them. So my own son did not have a degree. So we found about this GED, General Education Diploma from the US, which is an equivalent to a 12th grade education, high school equivalency, which anybody can take. And now you have a 12th grade certificate. So my son took it. And now we have this option in our school where anybody who reaches 16 years of age, we can help them take a GED exam, which is only 4 papers. It's just English, science, maths, and social studies. And you can prepare about this on I told you how we don't teach maths and sciences, but we teach them how to learn. So for example, if you want to learn what is E is equal to MC square, they go to ChatGPT and ask it to make a story about it. And then they make a video about it. And now they know exactly how E is equal to MC square works, which most people don't really understand. Or if you want to solve an algorithm or a algebra equation, you can literally go on ChatGPT and tell to write a story about how to solve this. And it tells you a story, and then it makes sense, like stories, right? Like when you watch a movie, you remember everything about that movie, but you don't remember everything about your school. Why? It's boring. Why not make it exciting? Why not learn E is equal to MC square through a movie?
Yeah.
Right? That's what I wanted to do before this school. I wanted to make movies on education. I wanted to make the most famous movies of India is like Three Idiots and PK, and it solves really big problems.
Yeah.
Why don't we have movies like that? Where we make $1 billion one movie and everybody in the world knows exactly how algebra works. That's it. You don't need, education can be, is the way we're teaching school is ridiculous. Why not in our school? When I started, I was showing Star Trek every day in the school. They've never seen Star Trek, but it was too much. Then I make it once a week. We had a movie night at school. Every week we watch a movie. And then you make a summary video of what you learned from this movie. And these movies were like subject related movies, like documentaries on people's lives or docudrama kind of document movies. So I love learning through experience. And I think movies are the best way to learn up till AI, because now with AI, we will have, in 2 years time, we will have an AI which will make, okay, this was my father's name, this was my grandfather's name, this was my mom's name and her mom's name. Can you make a movie about how they met? This is how they met. I'll go and make some popcorn. You come back in 10 minutes. There's a movie on Netflix about your family and you can watch it. Right? It's generation, generative AI is progressing like crazy. I'll show you one of the videos which one of our students made. It's incredible how amazing AI videos can be made even now. But in 2 years time, 3 years time, this will be like full length dramas and movies where we can just create about anyone.
And anyone can create it.
Anyone can create it. And the way the world will look like is going to be so different. So education has to be changed. For God's sake, why are we feeding them this junk?
Yeah, just memorization. There's so much rata.
Why?
Yeah,
What's the point?
so
We live
pointless.
in 21st century. Why don't we have holographic rooms in Star Trek and go inside and play the whole drama?
Yeah.
We have a VR. Why don't we have stuff like that? So I think the reason I say experimental is because people get offended when I tell them we don't teach how to write. Literally, they get offended. They're like, why aren't you teaching how to write? I go, well, when was the last time you wrote a letter with your hand? 2 years ago. To whom? Oh, there was an application. Why wasn't the application online? Why do you need to write? Writing is an art form, is something which people should learn. But writing as a necessity of life is no longer required. It's like riding a horse.
Mm.
You want to learn a horse, that's fine. I have no problem with it. You know, get the best horse. But in school, you need to learn to drive, not to learn to ride a horse. There's no horses on the road.
Yeah.
So the school is supposed to prepare you for life, which it is not doing. So my school is being designed for life, not for grades.
I'd love to teach at your school.
Oh,
Yeah,
it'll
I'd love
be an
to.
honor, man.
Yeah,
This is
I would love to go and
there
'cause
is no
I'll-
teaching. It's all this is
like
teaching.
not like learn from them too.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what I
there's
said. Do a podcast with these kids. You will love it. These kids are so fascinating. Every time I talk with them, they ask these questions. Oh my God. 3 of the kids come to my home every day when I'm in Karachi. They're like, they took permission from them. Can we, sir, please, we just want to hang out with you. So they come and then I would, okay, what do you want to learn today? So I will just give them a lecture and ask questions. And, in my house, I have a room to teach. So I have a board and I draw things and tell them. And those lectures are also online. Everything I do is online. That's why I have 12,000 videos. Because everything I'm teaching, even to my own children, is online. Because why waste time? If you talk for an hour and 1,000 people watched it, how many years is that? That's like multiplying your life by hundreds of years. So yeah, please do teach at our school by just being there online. Just talk to them, and I would love to get you on Facebook somehow, or even on LinkedIn is fine. We'll put your photo. Okay, give an interview to this guy, or follow him, or become like him, because I find you both as phenomenal big brothers.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
something
you.
which you need. They need
Younger brothers or big
big brothers.
To
How
the
we-
kids.
Oh,
These
to
are kids.
you okay? Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, they're
Yes,
like
of
15
course.
teenagers,
Yeah.
right? So they don't have the beards yet.
No, it is.
Sorry, I'm confused. I thought you were saying.
No.
It is genuinely really fascinating, and I'm interested to see like what's gonna happen along
Me
this
too.
journey.
Me too. I can't wait.
This is what me and Wali want to work on. So
Reforming education.
reforming
is what-
education. This is the point of all of this. Like the end goal is to literally reform education in Pakistan. And the thing is, we are very lucky to know you now because we can learn from your mistakes. And then inshallah, then there will be
we
kids.
should open a chapter
to-
here.
Yeah.
Definitely.
There will be kids that will learn from our mistakes. And like, I love your humility as well. Like saying this is an experiment, and like, if you were like, I think people would trust you less if you were like, no, I know what I'm doing. I know it all. Because that's just not true. No one does.
No one does.
So
But I am very arrogant about one thing, which is that I don't let educated people come to my school and tell me what to do, because they have no clue what I'm doing.
that's because they're lecturing you rather than understanding you.
Correct.
Okay.
So in our school, almost every day, somebody comes from some school. I invite them, and they're like, I have never seen anything like this. I've never seen anything like this. But then they're like, for example, one of the women whose school, I got an award a month ago, maybe in Pakistan, on best educator or something. And another woman got an award for the same thing. And she was like coming to me and saying, I want to come to your school. Because the talk I gave after the award was like, come to our school, make my students your teacher. Iqbal, there's a poem by Iqbal. जवानों को पीरों का उस्ताद बना दे, खिर्त को गुलामी से आज़ाद कर दे. Dua, it's like a prayer. खिर्त को गुलामी से आज़ाद कर दे, जवानों को पीरों का उस्ताद कर दे. Khirt is thought. Let go of the thought from their shackles. Second, जवानों को पीरों का उस्ताद कर दे. Make the young ones teachers of the teachers. Right? So this woman comes and say, I want to come. And I was like, okay, let's exchange numbers. She's like, this is cool. I went to her school. I did my high school from her school, from her mother. She was the teacher. And I was like, you were my teacher. What? You went to this school? Yes, I went to your school. I was like, that was fascinating. But Cindy came to school and her CEO with us. And then she asked a student, what if the internet is dead? How would you live then? My student was pretty arrogant to say, I don't think the internet is going to die. And but she was like, she had these thoughts. And I was watching. I watch all these interviews live with because they're live. I can watch them anywhere. So I told them that whenever somebody asks that, well, you can say, "What if the electricity is gone tomorrow? Whatever, all the gasoline is finished. How would you survive then?" So instead of being scared of the technology, let's learn like AI. We were so scared of AI. Oh, it will take away the jobs. It will. What will we do? We don't know how to think anymore because we use ChatGPT. Right? We have to evolve. We have invented the tires. We have to make the spaceships now. We have to go explore the universe, not just live on this spaceship Earth. We have to solve the $2,000 billion a year problems.
Yeah.
And then move on. We haven't. Why haven't you solved all this yet? Because they are still thinking in the different way, right? So these kids are supposed to think on the next level. They're not supposed to think on the past. So I keep myself away from all the educationists for that particular reason. One of the top 5 educationists in our country, who's written hundreds of books on it, is one of my good friends. And I tell him, you can go to my school. You will not tell them anything. You will come back and tell me only what progress we have made. That's it. You're not allowed to tell me what to do. Let me make my own mistakes. And then when I'm ready, and my system is ready, I'll come to you and I'll say, now tell me, what did I do wrong? And you can correct me a little bit. Because when you're inventing something, when you're trying to make a new dish, and you go and ask the chef, he will only guide you what he knows already, what he has been doing for 20 years. A biryani guy cannot help me make fried rice. He doesn't know what fried rice is. So I have traveled to 84 countries. I have went to dozens of schools in the world. I've talked to hundreds and thousands of human beings about all these problems. And I can't show it to everyone unless and until I do it. So once I have these products ready, maybe another year, and these kids will be earning, then I need to grow from 50 to 500. I need to create systems, and others have to come and tell me the old systems. But I'm not that systems guy. I'm the Steve Wozniak guy. I'm not Steve Jobs. I'm not the seller. I'm just the creator of these things. And I'm going to just create micro versions of myself, and Greta Thunbergs and Malalas of the world, because they have done something. Or you can recognize I call them the lighthouse. Everybody looks up to you for the signal, what's right and wrong. Right? And then you are basically gathering all the information. You're like a honeybee. You're going to all the flowers, you're sucking information, and you're making honey out of it. So these kids will not be the smartest kids in the world. They will be the most connected kids on the world. They will be the most listening kids in the world. They will be the most smiling kids in the world. Be able to make friends with the enemy. And that's how you solve problems, by being able to listen to the guy who doesn't agree with you. You have to be humble enough to do that. So we're not making smart kids. We don't want spaceship engineers. There's thousands of millions of them already out there. We want somebody to become the SpaceX guy. Get them all together and solve the problem. We don't want to solve the problem. Our job is to get them all together. They solve the problem. Our job is to navigate those people together. Why are people jobless? Because they don't know how to work with other people. Otherwise, they could start their own business. They just don't know how to do that. We never taught them how to collaborate, how to communicate, how to solve problems.
Or we taught them memorize the science book.
This is
you're
how
going to be tested on it. Copy word for word. Otherwise, you're going to lose marks.
But we never said, okay, gather together and solve this problem. Very, very rarely it's taught that way. So I was not able to talk up till when I was 34. You guys are so young, and you're inspiration to me that you're doing at this age. It took me forever. I couldn't speak. I couldn't speak to a stranger. So all my learnings were like what I did on myself is what I'm teaching other people. I can't teach what I don't know. So I don't know everything, but I do know how to connect people together, how to collaborate together, how to problem solve without, my core business is telecom, and I created a way where you can use a number from any part in the world, in any part in the world. I invented that 24 years ago.
Wow.
And I'm not an engineer. I can't write a line of code. But I knew that this is something I wanted. I traveled the world, met people, and then somebody just made it for me. Right? There were engineers out there. Why didn't they invent it? So inventors, Edisons are not supposed to be engineers. They have hundreds of engineers working for Edison. Edison is not a scientist. They say he's a scientist. Edison also had 100 other companies. He was making bricks, cement, whatnot. He didn't know all those things. But as a connector, as a collaborator, you're not supposed to know everything. You're supposed to be able to listen and make people work together.
Yeah, you know, the human wisdom, the human skills. I wanted to ask, if you had let's say Rehan is the most powerful person in Pakistan, right? What 3 changes would you make?
I would give everybody a smartphone. I would give internet access to anybody who has never used it for 6 months for free. I would give a phone for 1,000 rupees a month. And I will make it constitutional change that just like education is free, you can get one free smartphone from the country every 2 years, at least for the next 5 years. And then I will put ads on TV to make 500 friends from outside Pakistan. And use AI before you ask anyone anything. And make sure that you earn at least $40,000 a year in the next 3 years. And this is how you'll make it. Very simple problem. I mean, it's a poor country. We have to be beggars. And we have the 5th largest population. If you just make them into smart like Singaporeans.
Oh yeah, we will be a global.
Hello, we're like multi-trillion-dollar in our country for no, and we are poor for absolutely. I call it to everyone. We are poor for absolutely no reason. There's nothing stopping us from becoming a rich country except khird ko gulami se azad karte. Our thoughts are old school. We spend more time and money on food than learning about something. Our priorities are old school. Our culture is just has been stagnant for a long time. We cannot get visas to other countries. People don't want to come to our countries. We don't understand other languages. So we are like kind of in a pond. And the reason people are watching, old people are watching television and politics and all that is because that's what's been fed to them. And that's everywhere, not just in Pakistan. I was in Austria, I was in Slovakia last week, and I was like, all the old people are just watching TV and politics, and they're just being hypnotized. And thank God to YouTube and social media that now we have options to have a Lex Friedman. We have options to hear the Huberman podcast and understand how our mind works, understand how our body works. We didn't have this option when I was growing up. I had to go and take an appointment. Like it says in the book you were telling me, how to make friends and influence people. You have to walk outside somebody's office for 2 hours to understand how they might react to you. We didn't have Google to understand. Before I was coming, I could just Google. I could just say, ChatGPT, hello, make me 10 questions to ask this man. Here's his LinkedIn ID. ChatGPT just does it for me.
Yeah.
That's how my students do it. I couldn't do it. I had to watch hours of content about that person before I could ask any questions to anyone. Now it's different. So yeah, that's what I would do for, not just for Pakistan. I would do this for India. I would do this for everyone, because we all have to rise at the same time. Otherwise we will still have inequality and we will still have problems in humanity. We'll still keep fighting. Did you know that every second person in Gaza had a master's degree?
Yeah,
Wow.
It's one of the highest
Educated humanity in
Yeah.
the world, and yet they couldn't solve their problems. I was trying to contact people from Hamas or their power for the last 10 years. I couldn't find them on Twitter. I couldn't find them anywhere. If the leaders are not accessible, how are they going to communicate? How are we going to help them grow? If we can't talk to them, right? If they don't do it used to be city hall type of meetings. Now it's all online.
Yeah, it's echo chambers.
Yeah,
they're
we
in
are
an
all
echo
living in
chamber.
our own echo chambers. One
Yeah.
of the most inspiring prime minister was from New Zealand. She was talking in her bedroom to the whole country, and everybody else was watching her. It was amazing. It's a 3 million people country, New Zealand. But she had fans more than that from all over the world. She was really being human being as a prime minister. And that's where I think the challenges are. We're not taking advantage of this change which has happened already. And if every Israeli had 10 Palestinian friends and every Palestinian had 10 Israeli friends, it would be a different story today.
Yeah.
Final question.
Dun, 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 dun.
So when everyone thinks of Rehan, what do you want to be the first thing that pops into their head?
I think everybody's different, and I have done so many different things in my life that people think of me as a different person. People, before you were born, there was a computer called Commodore 64. I was a king of Commodore 64 computers in Pakistan. Everybody knew me for that. Then became email, then became the internet. Then I was the Facebook guy. Then I was a VoIP guy. Then I was like different things. As I was right now, I'm being mocked for preaching about ChatGPT and Annie, and people, as I said, they don't know what they don't know. How can you? I don't judge them that they're doing wrong. They're just innocent children, and I'm not upset with them, but it hurts me to see that I have this cure in my hand. It's like magic potion, which they can take and they can just transform themselves. Anyone in the UK who was earning less than £1,500 a month, which is majority of the immigrants in this country, can just change their friends on Facebook and LinkedIn and make friends with people living in Silicon Valley who are earning, at least in Silicon Valley, $105,000 a year is considered a poor person. Right? All they have to do is just follow them. And that's it, nothing else. You're just listening to your own echo chamber and you're happy with the 1,500. The moment you're not happy with the 1,500, you say, this friend of mine is making 5,000, why can't I do it? That's what you change.
Yeah, when you see that it's possible.
When you see a much more stupid person than you earning more than you, you're like, dude, I can do this. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
If you think, there's a very old saying, if you think you can, you're right. If you think you cannot, you're right. So it's up to us. If we think we're right, if most Pakistanis can think that they cannot earn more money. That's why they don't earn more money. Nobody in Pakistan goes and Googles how to earn $100,000 a year. Very simple. I literally have put a billboard saying that. It's a Google thing. It says, how can I earn $100,000 a year? That's all. Press enter. And now algorithm knows that you want to earn $100,000 a year, and now it will keep showing you that stuff. But if you don't even show your desire, how would you earn? And then we say we're a poor country. We're not a poor country. We have 5 rivers. We have 2 temperatures at the same time, minus and plus at the same time. You can have plus 50 degrees. You can have minus 50 degrees at all given time in our country.
Yeah.
So not many countries like that on the
beautiful.
planet.
You got oil, you got gems,
Everything.
you got every single thing.
You drive
You
from
got
north to
ocean
south,
as well.
and you will see rivers coming,
Yeah.
lands empty, and people sitting on the corner. What should I do? There's water, there's land, there's humans. What should it be? There should be gold everywhere. It's just the connections are missing.
Yeah.
People in our countries, in the world, are living in their own silos.
Yeah.
And that's when you think of yourself, I'm the best.
Yeah. And it's also short-term thinking as well. They just find the quickest solution, which is not a solution usually. The easiest thing. And it
Because we all grow up in if you go to your school, the school will say, oh, this is the best school in this county. They want to be the best, right? But we don't think as humanity yet, human beings. We are unable to think of ourselves, especially in our country, Pakistan, as human beings. We're still thinking as Pathans or Pashtun or Punjabis or Sindhis. We're not even Pakistanis yet. But once you connect them to the world, then all of a sudden it doesn't matter anymore. You see, you're just another human being. You're same as them. You can do it. There's nothing wrong with you. It took me ages to unlearn myself. Ages. And I just wish it was faster.
That's very powerful.
Thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully we'll catch up again in 6 months' time and
Sure.
learn that the school is flourishing and the kids have developed a lot. But thanks a lot for sharing
Ana
everything
Urdu.
with us.
Huh?
And our Urdu has developed a lot.
Who?
Our
Urdu.
Urdu. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you just talk with the kids, they'll definitely.
Thank you so much for
Thank you
coming
so
on.
much.
It was an honor.
Fantastic.
Thank you.